won 2 legal disputes against Edison. In fact, when Edison lost the second action, he asked Woods to come work for him. But Woods, whose patents were bought by General Electric, Bell Telephone, and Westinghouse, decided to remain on his own. By the turn of the century, a surge of inventing was well underway. African Americans received an estimated 1,000 patents by 1913 in nearly every field, including the industrial arts, manufacturing, transportation, agriculture, and engineering. Garrett Morgan was constantly thinking about the future. He'd say, if it's in a book, you can do it. If it's not, then use your imagination. And despite having only a 6th grade education, Morgan's inventions, the traffic signal and the gas mask, became 2 of the world's most significant safety-related devices. On July 24th, 1916, in Cleveland, Ohio, the interior of a tunnel that was being built suddenly exploded in fire. Dozens of workers were trapped 280 feet under Lake Erie in a pocket of deadly gas. Rescue teams were unsuccessful. Then Garrett Morgan, wearing an invention he called a breathing apparatus, entered the toxic mine and pulled the surviving men to safety.
For a considerable time after that, orders for his gas mask, improved breathing device that he called it, poured in from various fire departments and police departments and mining companies. And that is until they found out that he was a black man. And then the response was considerably less great. And in fact, when he attempted to sell his product, especially in parts of the South, he had to send a front man, either someone who was white, or if he went himself, he would have to pose as a Canadian Indian from the Indian reservation.
But all that changed during World War I. Morgan's invention came to the rescue of British and U.S. troops in need of gas masks to fend off Germany's newest weapon, poison gas. Back in the States, city traffic was hazardous. Garrett Morgan witnessed a terrible accident and developed the first illuminated traffic signal, which alerted drivers to proceed with caution. Morgan received his patent for the device on November 20th, 1923, and later sold it to the General Electric Company for $40,000. Morgan's system was used until it was replaced with our modern-day automatic traffic lights. Like inventors, African-American scientists have made phenomenal contributions as well. Grammy-winning composer Stevie Wonder even wrote a song about one of them. Dr. George Washington Carver, best known for his work with the peanut and its 300 or more derivative products, which include instant coffee, bleach, tan remover, metal polish, paper, ink, shaving cream, rubbing oil, linoleum, paint, and plastic. Carver was a man on a mission. Carver felt a deep affinity for farmers and convinced them to grow diversified crops, such as peanuts, pecans, and sweet potatoes in place of one crop, cotton, to enrich their soils. A deeply spiritual man, Carver also obtained fame as an artist. His varied interest led to a friendship with Henry Ford, who asked him to join the staff at Ford Motor Company. Carver declined, preferring his own career in agricultural chemistry. Carver's research won him international acclaim. When Carver died in 1943 in Alabama, the governor and crowds of people came to honor him. The U.S. Postal Service issued a memorial stamp for the man who was dubbed the Savior of the South. When we return, contemporary African Americans continue.
He said, look, I will lend you the money to buy the business.
one of the original abolitionist leaders, Fortin invented a device around 1800 that helped control a ship's sails. He amassed a fortune, built his own sail factory, and worked on the Underground Railroad, helping slaves to escape. There's an African proverb that says, "As the wound inflames the finger, so thought inflames the mind." And despite their circumstances, slaves created a number of inventions before the Civil War.
Because slaves had picked up the experience of, say, pulling tobacco, chopping cotton, of dealing with rice production. What happened was they would come up with ways of making the work a little more efficient.
But information about inventions of slaves is especially difficult to find because masters often made minor modifications on slave designs and claimed them as their own. In fact, some believe that was the case with Eli Whitney's cotton gin.
The slave had already built a machine. They had already been working with something. What he did was to refine it and say, "I did it." And because they were slaves, what could they say?
Such was almost the case of Benjamin Montgomery of Virginia, who invented a propeller specifically designed for river steamboats. Montgomery was owned by Joseph Davis, brother of Jefferson Davis, the future president of the Confederacy. Now, when the brothers tried to patent Montgomery's propeller, Attorney General Jeremiah S. Black enacted a decision in 1858 that prohibited owners from doing so. So, as a result, any slave invention during the next 12 years went undocumented. Up until this point, free blacks had been able to patent their inventions. But the Dred Scott decision in 1857 changed all that. Scott, a slave, had taken his case for freedom to the Supreme Court. The court ruled that because Scott, like all African Americans, was not a U.S. citizen, he had no right to sue.
What happened immediately after that decision was that the U.S. Attorney General stopped accepting any patents, even from free black people, because if you're not citizens, then you can't, there's no contract that the government can have with you, and a patent is a contract.
Luckily, Norbert Rilot escaped this restriction. A free African-American from New Orleans, Rilot revolutionized the sugar industry in a bittersweet story. Born on a plantation and educated as an engineer in Paris, Rilot gave the world its biggest economic sugar fix. Making sugar by the slow, dangerous kettle method inspired Rilot to find a better way. And in 1846, he received a patent for his revolutionary sugar refining process. It involved his multiple effect vacuum evaporator, a device that efficiently turned sugar juice into a fine grade of white sugar crystals.
Rilot's process reduced the amount of people it took to make the sugar. It produced nice white granulated sugar that we're familiar with today, and it greatly reduced the cost. And it also helped to make the United States one of the leading makers of crystallized sugar.
Rilot became a wealthy and influential man in New Orleans, but was still subjected to oppressive race laws. When he was told he'd have to carry a pass to move about the city, Rilot decided to leave America forever and return to France. When we return, a record number of African-American inventors apply for patents. The practice of inoculation was first revealed to Puritan leader Cotton Mather in 1706 by his slave, Onesimus. He described how he had become immune to smallpox in Africa. When Mather tried to alert medical practitioners to the life-saving opportunity that inoculation provided, he was ridiculed for following the superstitions of Africans. Making it happen, masters of invention will return. Invention. After the Civil War, Congress amended the Constitution ending American slavery. African Americans were declared citizens of the United States with equal rights and protection under the law. One of the first places African Americans exercised their freedom was at the Patent Office.
African Americans wanted to prove their worth and to prove that they could produce and create and contribute to society as much as anyone else. So it was a tremendous period of creative activity and inventiveness, of industriousness among African Americans. You had Booker T. Washington. Very soon was going to be talking about the new Negro who's poised to enter American society in the 20th century. So all this activity was taking place, and this explosion of inventiveness and patent applications was just part of that milieu.
By 1870, the patent restraints for blacks had been lifted and signaled an explosion of inventions to come. One of those inventions was from Jan Metzelliger, a black immigrant from New Guinea who settled in Lynn, Massachusetts, the center of the shoemaking industry. Now, his invention revolutionized the shoe manufacturing industry and created thousands of jobs. Prior to Metzelliger's invention, connecting the leather uppers to the soles of the shoes was done by hand, a time-consuming process called lasting. Metzelliger wanted to make shoes affordable to everyone. After working secretly at night for 10 years, he created a lasting machine that could quickly turn out a complete shoe.
Things that generally took 15 minutes to a half hour for one shoe, he was able to get down to 1 minute. So what he did was to set up a process that actually employed a lot more people. You were able to reduce the cost of shoes. You were able to mass produce shoes. Now you had enough product for everybody in America to actually be able to wear shoes.
Metzelliger's drawings, however, were so complex, the U.S. Patent Office couldn't believe the machine worked. So an official was sent to inspect it. Then, in 1883, Jan Metzelliger was issued his first patent. He tried to market his invention himself. Unsuccessful, he finally traded the rights to his invention for stock in a new company. He began an acting career in the theater and unfortunately died a forgotten inventor before reaping financial rewards. Metzelliger's recognition finally came a century later when a postage stamp commemorated his name and a bridge in his honor was dedicated in his hometown of Lynn, Massachusetts. With the introduction of Henry Ford's Model T, automobiles began to move horses aside, and America shifted full speed ahead. Between 1871 and 1900, more than 300 patents were awarded to African Americans for their inventions and innovations. Inventors have become a part of American folklore as well. If you've ever heard the phrase, the real McCoy, you know what I mean. The phrase was coined for a master inventor, Elijah McCoy, who ultimately patented over 60 lubricating systems, including an air brake system for railroads. In the late 1870s, most machines, including trains, had to be stopped every time they needed oil. The oilmen would walk the length of the train and oil all the moving parts. McCoy devised a method of oiling machinery as it was running, and on June 23rd, 1872, he received a patent for the lubricating cup.
His parents had sent him to Scotland to apprentice as an engineer. Upon his return, of course, no one would hire him as an engineer. It turned out to be very fortunate for him because while he was walking around squirting oil on these engines, he came up with an idea for his drip cup lubricator.
McCoy believed in producing quality work. As a result, his lubricating system was used on locomotives, factory machinery, and engines of transatlantic steamships around the world. McCoy's system was so effective that buyers of new machinery would ask the sellers, "Does the equipment have the real McCoy?" If it didn't, they wouldn't buy it. So if you want the genuine article, the real thing, just ask for the real McCoy. In a country that still had the feeling that the oppressed race had contributed little or nothing, African Americans began to catch the public's attention. Exhibits at the 1895 Atlanta Exposition and the 1907 Jamestown Exposition gave black inventors the opportunity to showcase their accomplishments.
It was very important to get this information out and for people to see that we were doing things like everyone else. And it was more important for us to see that than anyone else. And I think that really is the underlying importance of these kinds of expositions, to really see that as we were entering the 20th century, that we were, although we were less than a generation removed from slavery, that we were putting that history well behind us. And it's extremely important for a sense of well-being and self-esteem.
However, in 1896, the Supreme Court ruled in Plessy versus Ferguson that separate but equal facilities for blacks and whites was constitutional, which marked the beginning of Jim Crow laws and legalized segregation. Despite the trials and stresses of life, people enjoyed their recreational time, and hobbies were springboards for inventions. Now, take, for instance, dentist George Grant. He loved playing golf. And on December 12, 1899, he received a patent for an object that golfers have been using ever since. The golf tee. Before Grant's inventions, players would form cone-shaped mounds of sand with their fingers on which the ball sat. Now today, this tooth-shaped invention has improved many a golfer's drive. When we return, the extraordinary accomplishments of African-American women. Bicycles were popular in the 1890s for running errands, but riders found it difficult to carry things and steer at the same time, until an African-American, J.M. Surton, designed a basket in 1899 that was attached to the handlebars. It was the forerunner of today's bicycle carriers. Making it happen, masters of invention will return. The success stories of African-American women are remarkable. As formidable as the barriers were that thwarted men's efforts at inventing, they were mere speed bumps compared to the obstacles that women faced. In addition to slavery, lack of or inferior education, and poverty, black women labored under sex discrimination.
In addition to race, African American women during the 1800s, or even right through the 19th century, suffered from the same kinds of stereotypes and restrictions that all women faced at that time. That is, that a woman's place essentially was in the home.
For many decades, American society viewed technical and mechanical skills as purely the domain of men. Even those who believed blacks were impossible to educate acknowledged that a black male slave could tinker with some machinery to make it run better. But women were confined to domestic chores such as cooking and cleaning.
If you look at the kinds of inventions that were coming out that were invented by women, most of them involved, again, devices that made their domestic chores easier, either improved ironing boards or vacuum cleaners or something of that nature.
Do not try to invent, a cotton harvester or a seed planter, anything that had to do with mechanics, anything that had to do with mathematics, anything that had to do with showing real intellectual, brilliance. No. Invent as much as you want in your category. Once you get out of your category, obviously, a man must have done that for you.
In fact, women were strongly discouraged from any kind of inventing. The few that overcame these obstacles had trouble getting legal rights to their creations. So, through the 18th century, men commonly obtained patents under their own names for their wives' inventions. A prime example of a skilled African-American woman inventor unable to overcome social barriers is Ellen Elgin of Washington, D.C. Ellen Elgin, who patented a financially successful clothes wringer in the 1880s, sold her device to an agent for $18. Elgin's feelings mirrored a long-standing practice of black inventors, both men and women, who chose to sell their inventions to whites or white-controlled corporations for fear of their inventions losing value if their true identities were known. The woman most responsible for changing this situation is Madam C.J. Walker. Madam C.J. Walker became a millionaire as a result of her hair care products. And although she didn't patent any of her products, she was a pioneer entrepreneur and an inspiration to women around the world. Walker was the daughter of slaves. In the early 1900s, she began searching for a remedy to end her hair loss problem. She came up with a sulfur treatment and began selling it through mail order, along with a comb specially designed for African Americans' thick hair.
What we have to admire is her ability to market that and to be able to start, run, and maintain her own business. This is a self-made woman. This is somebody who had to make up the rules as she went along.
White-owned department stores and pharmacies had no interest in stocking new products for African Americans. So, Walker turned to black women's clubs and churches to boost sales. Then, in 1908, Walker pioneered a concept that would be used successfully by some contemporary cosmetic companies. She recruited and trained thousands of black women as sales agents who went door to door throughout the country selling an ever-expanding line of hair care products and cosmetics tailored to the needs of African American women.
She gave them a quality product and kept it going. She was a businesswoman. She was an entrepreneur. She was exactly what this country was built on.
The first African American woman listed in the U.S. Patent Office records is Sarah Good. In 1885, Good, the owner of a Chicago furniture store, patented a folding cabinet bed, forerunner of today's sofa bed. Then, in 1892, Sarah Boone was issued a patent for her improvement to the ironing board. Alice H. Parker wanted to warm each room in her building with centralized heating and received a patent for a heating furnace in 1919. And without any formal technical training, a Chicago housewife, Henrietta Bradbury, was able to design a submarine torpedo discharger for which she received a patent in 1945. When we return, African American inventors add sizzle to the development of electrical power.
Masters of Invention documents the achievements of black inventors. A copy of the
Century drew to a close. A power was harnessed that would light the way into the next century and transform the world. Electricity. In every school book, the name of Thomas Edison and Alexander Bell are imprinted in our minds. But recognition for their distinguished African-American colleagues, Granville T. Woods and Lewis Latimer, is long overdue. Lewis Latimer was a self-made man who became a pioneer in the development of electricity. He drafted the original plans for Alexander Bell's telephone and made significant contributions to the success of both Thomas Edison and Hiram Maxim, Edison's competitor. While employed with Maxim, Latimer perfected Edison's light bulb by making improvements in the incandescent electric lamp in 1882. He then supervised the installation of electric lighting systems in major cities around the world. Known as the Black Edison, Granville T. Woods was an electromechanical genius. Like Edison,